knock against me and my conscience if I am part of a team that is accused of being racist and all that and all that. It is my view, Chair, that the committee is not racist. But if Advocate Mbofu feels that there are racist elements within the committee, he is free to indicate that to the committee so that we're able to attend to it properly as the committee. The last issue, Chair, relates to the review application. I would wish, Chair, to propose or submit to the committee that, remember, the briefing that we received from Advocate Mbofu was that there is part A that is meant to deal with the interdicting of the proceedings of the committee. And there is part B of the application that is meant to deal with the actual review application. So I want to submit to the committee that until such time, the part A of the application is adjudicated by a court of law and were interdicted, that we must halt the proceeding until part B is decided. So until such time, there can I wish to submit that can the proceedings proceed as planned. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Honorable Kond, and then Honorable Maniel.
Thank you very much, Chair. I also don't want to rehash this discussion we had the last time, and we agreed to forge ahead as a committee. We have a constitutional obligation to ensure that this inquiry goes ahead, and we discharge the obligation that we've been charged with by Parliament. So I would please implore honourable members to keep their eyes on the ball. Let's forge ahead. We've already talked about the walkout. It was a walkout. It was staged. I'm not going to take my words back on that one. And there's been a concerted and a repeated effort to actually stall the proceedings of this inquiry. We've had 3 recusal applications and 1 adjournment application. And I'm not going to take my words back on that. I hope Advocate Mbofu is listening. And Chair, I would say let's forge ahead. We have 2 more days to go. It's already late as it is. And yes, and we too have families that we need to see to. So please let's wrap up today's discussion. Let's not rehash what happened. We've discussed it, and I maintain that it was her legal team that denied her of the right to legal representation. It wasn't us. We never chased anyone out, and we were told we don't even know when we're going to see you when Advocate Mbofu walked out. So, Chair, from my side, we've done nothing wrong, and we've been very accommodating, but we also are working against time, and I'm worried that, we might not have time to discharge this obligation that we have as a committee. We've been mandated by Parliament. So, Chair, please ensure that going forward, we move with full speed and we finalize what we need to do. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Konde. The last one, Honorable Manene.
No, thank you, Honorable Chair. Greetings to members and the public protector and the legal team. Chair, maybe just to emphasize 2 or 3 points so that I don't repeat, more to say I agree that we are proceeding on the basis of a decision taken, which at this point is still informed by a court decision, the Constitutional Court. And that has not been contested yet. That irrespective of anything else, we need to deal with this with speed. So I'm just saying, I just wanted to emphasize that point. The second point really is that I also welcome, Chair, a confirmation again that the walkout was not a withdrawal. So I welcome that there's clarity that there's not been withdrawal. With that in mind, May we then be clarified, Chair, so that when you make your ruling, South Africans out there can also be helped then to understand the meaning of no withdrawal. In that, on the second, just as the public protector was explaining the absence of the legal representatives, in this case, we take it to be those lawyers of record. I'm sure, Chair, if I would count properly, it probably would have not exceeded 5 minutes or so. And this is on record. So it's unless there was an imposter who then said, we represent Sianeho at this. So at least we'll forgive that if it was an imposter. And this is the reason I'm raising this. Is that on that day, there was a message on the chat which gave an indication to the chair that we are here. And the chairperson followed it immediately and placed it on record so that there's also no misrepresentation to South Africans that they were absent, that they are here. Unfortunately, Chair, we are using another gadget, and that gadget got to be identified. And we therefore proceeded on the basis, like we are proceeding today, that physically, both the public protector and the legal representatives are on that platform. And on that day, the legal representatives were in that platform. Should we disregard that presence on the basis that, as the letter would say, there was totally no representation? It will help you as you make the ruling, Chair, so that South Africans can be taken into confidence whether the contents of the letter then reflect the true reflection of whether that representation was indeed mandated one, or we probably had an intruder in the meeting who played an imposter role of being attorneys where they do not represent those as a picture.
Thank you, Honorable Maneli. I now quickly want to do the quick summary and ruling, but I see the hand of Advocate Mpofu. I will briefly allow you, and then I make
the
summary.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Chair. I promise I won't deal with everything that has been said.
Just before you proceed, sorry. Advocate Mpofu, just before you proceed.
Okay,
Honorable Notata, can I recognize you before Advocate Mpofu, because there might be issues you want to raise as clarity?
No, thank you so much, Chair. I thought maybe you were managing me indirectly, but I just want to say that, Chair, I am covered by Honorable Malam, Honorable Kondo, and Honorable Maneli now in this instance. I don't want to rehash what they have said, but I do think, Chair, that we all have eyes, we all have ears. And I don't think it's fair for us to be taken for fools, or the South African public to be taken for fools for what they've witnessed themselves. And it's important to understand that we are here doing work that we're elected to do as legislators. And it's not by mistake that we proceed within the rules, the constitution of this land, and ultimately what we've been discharged with the parliament. So I'm not going to go into the merits and demerits of what has been presented. We have discussed this issue, Chair. We've put our views on the table as the committee. We've resolved in the issues. And if it were to me, I would just say whatever's been presented by Advocate Mpofu noted, and then we'll move on with our things, because we have discussed things at length, and there's no need for us to be going into detail on them now. And we just note what has been said to us, and then we'll move on with the process, and people participate as instigated by the rules. Thanks.
Thank you, Honorable Notata. I suspect that you have landed. Thank you. Honorable noted. Advocate Mpofu. Advocate Mpofu.
Hi, Chair.
Yes, go ahead.
Yes, Chair. No, I was sorry, Chair. I didn't realize I was muted. I was saying I know it's late, so I'm going to try and be brief. But there are one or two things, Chair, that either need further clarity or just a comment. Before I respond to the specific question of clarity from Honorable Zungula, I think Honorable Maneli has maybe dealt with the issue, but I don't know if he understands what I've been saying here. There's a difference between what happened on the 27th and 28th, and everyone seems to be missing this. And the 28th, I explained what happened on the 28th. The pub projector came back at the request of the chair. There's no issue about that. And the situation, she clarified, and that's it. But what everyone is missing is to distinguish that between what happened on the 1st and 2nd of November, which is where the violation of human rights and constitutional rights happened. If you don't remember, on the 1st in the morning, the public protector came and told you that her legal representatives were indisposed. They had not withdrawn. They were simply indisposed because they were preparing for the Constitutional Court papers. And as I said, the chairperson accepted that to the extent that otherwise he could have just said, well, I'm just going to lead the witnesses and they'll never be cross-examined. He didn't do that. He allowed us to cross-examine them today and tomorrow. So he accepted the explanation given by the public protector. So far, so good. The issue we're taking after that is that then at that point, in the same breath, the chairperson then said the proceedings must continue in the absence of the legal representatives of the public protector's choice. And she made it clear. And there's another point that Mr. Maneli is missing. The Constitutional Court, firstly, is wrong. There's no Constitutional Court order that says you must proceed with speed. There's an order. It's a different thing. So whatever is in the document, in the judgment, and an order, those are two different things. There's an order that orders you to afford legal representation, full legal representation, okay? So those two things cannot be equated. And here's the mistake. It's very simple. The original rule, Mr. Maneli, that we took to the Constitutional Court said what you are saying. It said the public protector may appear in the committee in the presence of a legal representative who will not participate in the proceedings. Okay? That's what the rule said. We took that to the to the High Court. We won that was wrong. You appealed and took it to the Constitutional Court. You lost that was wrong. That the mere presence of a legal representation does not mean that there is legal representation. That's what the court said. Your lawyers, your advocates, Advocate Breitenbach was representing you, said that the mere fact that the lawyer is there is enough cover. And the fact that the public protector is legally trained is also sufficient cover. Those arguments were rejected, right, by the High Court and again by the load shedding, and also rejected again by the Constitutional Court. So until anyone understands that point, then we're going to be going on about Mr. Sianeho and all that. No, there was no imposter, Mr. Maneli. Mr. Sianeho was there, but his presence that does not amount to legal representation according to the Constitutional Court. Okay? Yeah. So, and number one. Number two, the Constitutional Court said full legal representation. And not just full legal representation, full legal representation by legal practitioners of her choice. She explained that to you on the second. Legal representation of her choice, in this case, is me and the other council and instructed by Mr. Sianeho. Okay, but even if I was there, to make you even feel better, even if I was there on the old dispensation, which was rejected by the Constitutional Court, but not participating, that would not be legal representation. So I can't explain that further. Maybe you can get advice on that. So let's not misrepresent what legal representation means. It doesn't mean presence. That's what the court said. The next issue is Honorable Mola. I think I won't speak about most of the things he said. The only issue is the issue of the attack on advocates. If you are saying that nothing about public funds is private, then this committee must give out all the legal fees that have been paid in the matter against the House, which started in 2020, to all the advocates, including the ones that I've mentioned on tomorrow. Honorable Ompile, since July, asked this chairperson to give us the figures of the cost of this exercise, because the chairperson said what Honorable Hendricks was saying about 1 million rand a day was wrong. We're now in November. That has not been furnished by you, by this committee. And those are public funds. Nobody displays them as to how much is being spent on this, despite it being asked for. And also, the transparency you are talking about does not only affect Black people. So if they wanted to put all the fees of lawyers, they should put the fees of the white lawyers as well, particularly Parliament, because it only uses them. So it's the height of disingenuity to equate this to so-called transparency and public funds. Then we need all the public funds of whoever is being paid what, including the evidence leaders and including all the council, even the ones that are going to represent you next week in the Constitutional Court. So that would be transparency, so that the thugs who go to rob the Black people whose names you put there must also visit your own people, if you don't understand that point. So, Honorable Malham, I don't think I need to respond to what he's saying, except to say that it's not true what he's saying. He says, no, the questions were just about superficial things. No, the questions were, did you give instructions to your attorneys? And that's the heartland of client attorney privilege, as to whether you gave instructions on this or that or the other. The record will speak for itself, so I don't need to debate something like that. And yes, if the committee did give us notice in their correspondence, but it's not the sole privilege. This is not a dictatorship or Nazi Germany. It's not the sole privilege of the committee to give us the notice. I've told you that we also gave notice of what we were going to do. So why is our notice to be discarded, but only that of the committee? So at best, there was a dispute of notices. But the point I was making was that we made our intentions clear. It was not a secret. It was not a matter of speculation. Did they walk out? Did they withdraw? Did they do that? We told you 1,000 times before, 18, 24, 27, twice on the 27th, what was happening. So if there was still confusion about after that, we're not answerable for that confusion. We can't help it. Okay. Yeah, and I don't care how Honorable Maham wants to describe it as whether it was disrespectful or whatever. The point is that I'm telling you that our mandate had ended. Either you accept it or you don't, and we could not participate further than our mandate. That's it. And we're not our own. It happens many times that if anyone who understands what a mandate is, once it's terminated at a particular point, and once it's it expires on the terms that have been explained ad nauseum on the documentation, then it's fine. We could have, if you wanted us to sit there, we could have sat there. But I'm telling you now, if you thought it was a walkout, we wouldn't have told you goodbye or we'll see you or whatever. We'd have just walked out. But I'm not interested in explaining the mechanics of a walkout. All right. Now, the Honorable Sukas, I think what she's saying really amounts to, about human rights, about what you call, let them eat cake is what was said in France. You're telling us about YouTube. Now, we're supposed to legally represent the public protector from YouTube. The Constitutional Court knew that there's something called YouTube when it gave the right to legal representation. Otherwise, it would have ordered that, no, the legal representation must be on YouTube.
James,
so we can't be told that we followed something on YouTube, and therefore that amounts to legal representation. And as for the SLAE, we have no time for, if you want to tell us that after the public protector explained herself on the first and the proceedings proceeded, it was the fault of the very same legal representatives that she had explained were indisposed, that she was unrepresented for those 2 days. Well, that's your privilege, madam. But it doesn't elevate it to something that is true. So we did not leave her without legal representation. She came there, and you are right. We're not answerable to you. We don't account to you. She accounts to you, and that's why she was there. We account to her. All right? And we have no business to be in your presence when it's not necessary or it's not called for. So, but she does. Unfortunately, she had no choice. That's why she was held hostage there for 2 days without legal representation. Not even allowed to go and watch it on Zoom or participate on Zoom. But that's her. She chose to be the public protector. So that's she's suffering for that, yeah. But we don't have to suffer that kind of indignity if we don't have to. All right. Okay, let me just talk to then Honorable Zungula's question. Honorable Zungula, there's nothing much really that I'd like to add as to what will happen. The legal position is exactly what I had explained, that the risk, there are 2 risks that the committee faces, but we assume it has calculated those risks and it is prepared to take them on behalf of the South African public. It is that all the R1 million a day or whatever the true amount is, that will be spent, that have been spent from the 11th of July up to the time of the hearing of the court case. If it is found that one of those grounds is sustainable, will have been wasted. By then, it will probably be 100 million rand or more. Yeah, because the proceedings will have to be started afresh. That's the first thing. The second thing is that as from the date, which was, I think, the 17th of October, where the non-recusal application was refused, up to that court ruling, then there would have been potentially contempt of court. And Honorable Milam was correct the last time when we were kicked out of the chamber, that the members have a privilege against being imprisoned for that contempt. But that doesn't change the nature of the contempt of court. The mere fact that you have defied a court proceeding has legal consequences, even though they may be less than for ordinary people like me if I defied a court order. So that's those are the two risks. One is the risk of nullity and defying the Constitution when you have been told that there's going to be a recusal application. I gave you the cases for that say that, and somebody called who calls themselves a professor said it's not part of our law. That could amount to contempt of court. Well, I would invite them to go and read the case of Pikoli versus the president of South Africa. But anyway, it's not a real professor. It's these kinds of people who masquerade, who've never seen the door of a courtroom in their lives. But so that's that risk. Then, but the biggest risk, I think, if I was a citizen of South Africa watching this, would be that why is my money being spent on something that might just be a waste of time and breath and people's moving up and down to the tune of whatever millions are being spent here, which is in any event illegal and amounts to, according to our courts, contempt of court or disregard or then insult to the courts. So those are the implications if you continue with your program. But you heard Mr. Nkosi, and all the other, it's the same. The two parties that have the majority, it's all about numbers. So if the people who have numbers say that it's Saturday today, it doesn't mean that it's Saturday. It just means that those people, they are wrong, but it just means that there are many. So being many doesn't mean you are correct. Law doesn't work like that. You can vote that we are now, today is Christmas Day, and it will carry as a resolution, but it doesn't mean it's correct, objectively speaking. So that's what has happened. So the people who have voted that the inquiry can continue will get their way on that basis. But the legal position will be defined by the court, not by voting, because voting is meaningless in terms of the law is an objective subject that applies. It's either it is like this or it's not like that. It's not that we say here and we are more than you, we say that it's 2022. If other people say it's 1925 and they vote like that, that's their business. The court will never find like that. It's an absurdity. But that's where we are now, because we're still subjected to the whims of the majority. But in court, we'll be subjected to the whims of logic. Okay, which are two different things. Now, in sorry, the last point, Chair. I think it was Mr. Maneli who talked about Part A. Was it more Mr. Mola? I don't know where you got that. I never uttered the words Part A or Part B. But in any event, it's an opportunity to explain that we, in our wisdom, decided, because this is what we were trying to get you to do, to try and save the money of the state by having Part A on Part B and all that. So when you refused to do that, we then decided to do it this way, that we will simply have a review proceedings. That's it. There's no Part A or Part B, because if we have Part A and Part B, this will take years and years, for firstly, to be resolved. But secondly, it will just be a waste of money. The law is like this again, logic versus majority. The majority of this committee keeps on saying, as someone said today, I think it was Mr. Nkosi or Manel, as I say, I confused the two. That will continue until there's an interdict because of I think the same type of stuff. Will continue until there's an interdict. Now, it doesn't work like that. You can say that, of course. I mean, nobody can stop you. It's a free country. But you don't need an interdict to do the right thing. So an interdict, if I say I'm not going to Durban. I can't say I'll go to Durban until there's an interdict that says I can't go there, even if I have no reason to go there. So it doesn't work like that, but that's been the logic here to say no, unless if there's no interdict, it means we must continue. No, I can say to the chairperson or to Mr. Maneli or anybody, Mr. Maneli, don't go to this place because there's a danger. Don't go back to the Val where you came from because there's some danger there. He can't say, no, I'm going to go there even if there's danger because there's no interdict. I mean, that would be something else, yeah. So that's, but as I say, the majority, if they vote, they vote, whatever, what can you do? But let's not elevate that to the same levels as logical decisions that are based on rationality. The only arbiter for rationality and logic in South Africa are the courts, not mob psychology or the fact that 20 of us say, as I say, it's Sunday today, and 6 say that it's Wednesday. Even if the 6 are right, the court will.
Thank you. I think you've covered the point.
I've made the point. Yeah. Sorry, I just wanted to clarify the part A, part B thing. Thank you, Chair. Sorry, that's all from our
side. Thank you, Advocate Mbofu. Colleagues, just to make a quick summary and the way forward to ruling in this matter, having listened to all of you. Mr. Ngoma has flighted the latest letter we received, which was sent to you, the one on the 8th of November, which we received yesterday, 22/4. As I always do on behalf of this committee, I will respond to that letter fully in due course, in line with the decisions of this committee. That's the first point. The second point, Honorable Nkosi is correct. What has been placed on record doesn't change the decision that we took as a committee, which decision says we resumed today, tomorrow, and Friday to conclude the 2 remaining witnesses, and now after today, the 1 remaining witness. That tomorrow is Mr. Cornelius van der Merwe and Friday, and that as part of that decision and program, we will pause and resume from the 28th of November. And I know that Honorable Gondwe had a grief about that. I hope she's over that grief. She had a 17 days grief. Hope you're over that. Because that program, as far as 2022 is concerned, it takes us to the 9th of December. And in December, that's when the National Assembly rises. We rise in December. Because we do work. It's clear in the letter there's a request that proposes the 6th of December. In other words, take 3 days away from the 9th. The backroom of evidence leaders and the public protector legal team, I'm told they had a brief session yesterday. They will meet again. But if the preference is the 6th of December, that preference must not take anything away from what we planned until the 9th of December. And if it means that you're going to have to ensure that all of what we have identified will be done by the 6th of December, even if it includes working longer hours, that's what is going to happen. We're not extending it to 2023. So as they meet, if the period is there's 3 days more that you are giving us, take the 3 days, and we're happy to settle on the 6th. Let them do that work, provided that work, as I repeat, doesn't take anything away from what was planned to be concluded on the 9th of December. because that program takes us, which we account and report to as the committee, it takes us to March as the end point. And we want to follow all of that. And we're mindful that we operate in an environment that's not our choosing, but we have a plan that we've put in place, and we're going to follow that plan diligently. And we'll always, as it is a living program, if there are things that come our way, we'll look into those, but that's the planned end point that we have agreed as part of that decision, because that program would have been placed here. Secondly, I think it's important to make this point, because the point is made by Honorable Sukas, which would have also made last week, to emphasize the point about this is an exercise in accountability of the Chapter 9 head of institution to the National Assembly. And in that process, we are all going to be subjected to a parliamentary process and its rules. There is no court determination in that process, because any of the institutions would have their own rules. If you go to courts, you're going to have norms and standards and all sorts of things that people operate under. You negotiate your way within that. In the legislative sector, you will have rules. You're going to negotiate your way within the rules that are set and the kind of programs that are set. And so whoever comes as part of oversight to committees, they're subjected to these issues. There's going to be no exception, because this is an inquiry. I think it's important to emphasize that point, so that the point is not lost in that regard. And so in relation to the program as it is, we'll continue tomorrow. We will hear what Advocate Bauer, what issues she wants to put on record. Thereafter, immediately we'll start cross-examination of Mr. Cornelius van der Merwe for tomorrow and Friday as planned. I think it must also be said that I think we, without getting into the merits and discussions of it, we note, your placing on record of denying the walkout, denying any withdrawal. We note that. But I think more importantly and strongly, it's important that we place on record that we deny and reject the following assertions that have been placed on record. That the accusation of rights violations of the public protector, the insinuations about the jungle and the kangaroo court, the illegality of the Section 194 committee, all of those are rejected. And I think it's important that we stay on course, we stay focused in terms of what we want to do in relation to the issues of matters that you have a recourse for to take to court. We welcome that. We've always made that point. In fact, the review would have expected it on the 31st of October, as promised to us, because it is on that Thursday that we took a decision to reject the application for adjournment. And so now that matters has been taken to court, that is to be welcome. But it's important to emphasize Honorable Ngola's point that nothing stops us in the program that we have placed. There is no legal impediment. There is no interdict. We want to emphasize that point. We're going to proceed, even as we straddle, even as we multitask what needs to happen in court, whether it's a constitutional court on the 24th, and whether it is the 13th or 12th of December or any other date in relation to the review application. Our work must continue. Thank you very much, colleagues. At that point, I want to say that our meeting is adjourned and we'll meet tomorrow at 10 to resume the cross-examination. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chair.
Recording stopped.
Deza. Deza. Wasipo. Klanuya, Wasipo, can you unmute? Bottom left. Kaji.
So many things to say about South Africa this week, but let's stick to the inquiry tonight. How are you?
I'm good, Kaji. How are you been?
Corporate is kicking my butt. I can say butt, right?
Absolutely, our skis too fall, man.
What's happening? I know the grass is green over there. What's happening in Canada?
Getting cold. We should have snow soon. Matter of days.
You deserve it.
Not nice.
Who do we have up?
We have David, but it appears he cannot speak. Deza, are you there?
I'm here, and how are you?
We are good, Deza. We are good. How you been?
I'm good, my brother. I've been listening, for a very, very long time. I've been watching, and it was texting, I must say, and I'm happy that the truth will always come out at the end of the day. At the end of the day, the truth will come out. And Tenjane exposed herself. Sometimes people, when they say that, it doesn't mean that because you are qualified, therefore, you are smart or you are intelligent or because you've got degrees and all that. The taste is in the pudding. As I was shocked with Samuel, I was shocked even today when he was cross-examined earlier by the Mr. Advocate Shabalala and later by Advocate Dalimpofu. You can read between the lines. I mean, there were 5 questions which Dalimpofu posed to Tenjane, about the public protector. Then you ask yourself, why is she there? Besides that, the evidence leaders wrote this for him. He doesn't know anything from 11.2 to 11 points, whatever, She doesn't have a clue. Advocate Manyosi tried to help her, tried to re-examine her, trying to, put away what exactly he has already alluded to and admitted, she doesn't know anything whatsoever. She doesn't have a qualification as an executive, but fortunately because of those degrees, and perhaps service, not even experience. She worked at the post office, as we are told, and she was found wanting. In fact, for them, I think they don't want to work. I mean, he was asked about a question when she phoned, people, in the evening, but she's been accusing the public protector of holding them up to late hours because of non-delivery. But for her, she doesn't see anything wrong when she's phoning the PRs to bring reports, to finish their job in their private space. So that alone tells you that people are so brainwashed. They have been rehearsed, to nail the public protector. But let me tell you, Mr. Chewu, the good thing about this Section 194 is that the CR 17, because it's one of the charges in those 4 charges of the public protector, I guess that it will be unsealed, because you remember the court sealed them. The not apartheid High Court in Pretoria sealed them on the chamber, not even in court, in an open court, in the chambers. Now, I think this is an opportunity for the public protector to unseal that in that COCO committee, to tell the whole truth, because she knows, I guess, that when she was doing with her investigators what the president told her and her team, and all these other witnesses, the Busasas, because those matters are the 4 charges, besides these labor-related issues. Those, I think, are the issues which are at hand on that Section 194 committee. They call it removal one day, the fitness to hold office, whatever that means. And I was hearing now that they are only giving them 9 days up to the 9th. And I'm saying, I think the public protector alone needs 10 days, as Daddy was saying, or a minimum around 8 days, because she has to go on case by case. And what about the other 20 witnesses or 10 witnesses? In other words, they want to stifle them. They had all the witnesses they wanted. But now for Dalis to bring all the witnesses he wants, I guess is not going to be allowed, because as Dali has said, this committee is biased and they refuse for recusal, which is normal. And as expected, they reject everything which Dali is proposing there. The chair, you can see that there's a mandate. He's not on his own. And some members, Daddy today he said that we've got those security guards of this white arrogancy, so to speak, of this whiteness, people who think they are supernatural beings. You've got all these so-called MPs. Some of them, they think to be an MP is something godly. Sukazi will talk like, I'm above the law, and Dr. Gondwe and others. We are a member of parliament. So what? Because we voted for you to go there and represent us, you think that we are bigger than everybody else. They are not bigger than everybody else. They are not the law unto themselves. Some of them don't even know that law they are talking about. But because by virtue of that being comrades, and some of, it's job creation to be an MP, nothing else. It's not that there are some of them not there to serve the interests of our people. It's there for themselves and their families, freebies. Freebies, because there's freebies there. But I'm happy that this will come to an end, but the truth at the end of the day will come out. Let's watch tomorrow when Van der Merwe will be cross-examined, and I can rest assure you it will be brutal. And the media, as you know, the Professor DeVos, your Karen Morgan and their gang, Mariam, this team, the Daily Maverick, as usual, the News 24, they'll be starting now. I think they've started already. Because the biggest enemy in the country now is the public protector. If they can deal with her, then they're finished. Who's left would be Judge Hlophe. Otherwise, they will have finished every progressive, anyone who stand on their way of preserving white supremacy. Unfortunately, I've just seen the public protector there in the office. They appointed a white old man there. You know, he's been. I think he's been appointed. I don't know why. What I just saw the picture on their website. I say, you know what? House Negroes are not going anywhere, Mr. Chew. They'll always be there. You know, for us to be where we are today is because there's accomplices of these so-called white supremacists. They were able to identify some among us to be their defenders. Like Verwoerd, let me quote, you can do anything to a Bantu, he'll smile at you, and tomorrow, you know what, he'll protect you with his blood. You know, he will protect you with his blood. The way they take us like monkeys, because some of us behave like monkeys. And these apologists, they'll come on here. And for me, I'll be revealing that constitution, the real name of that guy. You'll never come back here again, I guess. But he's listening, I think, with another Twitter handle. But he won't come in as a constitution. It's all over the show with your Ismail Ibramji, your Errol, your Gulam, your John Baloyi, this team which has been assembled. But I can tell you, sanity will prevail. I'll be here. Mr. Chew, if there's anything, I'm here, my brother and our fellow. It's been a long time. I'm glad as well to listen and hearing your voice again. Thank you.
Thanks, Deza. It's so nice to reconnect. Yes, indeed. Now, Deza, tell me though. I mean, there is an attempt to remove the PP from her official residency. How can that happen before the section 194 is even done?
My brother, as I said earlier, they'll do anything under the sun to humiliate the public protector. They will do anything. I mean, I think you are not aware that there was an attempted, in fact, the media played it down, you know, an attempted, I don't know what was it, whether it was part of this so-called alleged assassination, but with God in our lives, she was saved, you know, and I can tell you, they'll do anything. For her to be ejected out of that house because of the police, because of what happened in her house, the police felt that the only place where they can accommodate her was, it's not even prestigious as people are saying. What is prestigious about Britannian? There's nothing prestigious there. I'm not sure whether they know what prestigious is, unless I must invite them to come and see what the prestigious house is. You know, I don't understand that, but because of this media sensationalization and some members, even in that in her office, you know, because there's so many snakes in that office. I'll put it straight. There's so many snakes, and I guess the sooner if she goes back to that office, she must just say bye-bye. If I was her, I'll say bye-bye. You can't work with people who are disingenuous. If they want to do things like they were doing previously, they don't want to work, they don't want to meet the deadlines. Let me tell you where I work. It's deadlines. If there's no deadlines, if there's no target, you don't reach target, you take the hike. But people wants to work there, it's home. You know what? Yeah, okay, this report is not right as we are hearing today. The report is not okay. You turn it back, it comes back again, you turn it back after 3, 4 years, if somebody's waiting. But on this one, as you asked me, it's true. And I think the Public Protector's Office has issued a letter. Well, they are trying to be diplomatic that this matter ends here. But the general of the police, the VIP protection as well, their last report was that the public protector was still, her life was still in danger. But they can go ahead, it's okay. I mean, she doesn't have to beg them. You know, let them do what they want. But I can tell you, it's going to backfire big time. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Deza. This is interesting because, I mean, you know, it's not the first time, right? I mean, we've had similar things happened before with, some attempt to interfere in her legal representation by the Public Protector's Office. And now we see that happening again with her residency. I just don't understand why, PPSA is getting involved in this. It just
Sorry.
baffles me, and certainly a security too, which is huge.
So sorry, Mr. Chair. Just to finish it off, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm my thousand apologies. Am I allowed?
Yes, Des.
Yes. What I wanted to say quickly, I just left out the issue as we were talking about what I was watching today. Tarimpofu explained about these so-called legal fees that they are looting the Public Protector's Office. Some even allude that this so-called, in particular, black SCs and firm of attorneys. But you'll be shocked tomorrow when this they are showing you the Bowmans, the Adams and the rest, this white cover, which Advocate Bauer did not show there. He only showed a glimpse of it. How much have they? Because if you render a service, you have to be paid anyway. For instance, let me give you an example. I'll be quick on that one. If, for instance, Darimpofu receives 12 million rand, if you say 12 million rand over 3 years, you say 12 million rand minus 15% of VAT, it gives you 10.6 million rand. 10.2 million rand. 10 million rand, 2 million rand. You take tax out of that money, it gives you 5.610, 5,610,000. You divide that by 3 years, it gives you 1.8 million a year. For an SC, what is all this halabaloo about? When Lucky Montane told us that his chairman, Popo Mulife, paid worksmen, 300 million in a single year. You go to this other one, your Bowman and others, legal fees are very expensive by its nature. And the Public Protector's Office will have to defend if people litigate them. They can't fold their arms. But I'm saying, let's watch tomorrow. It will be very interesting, Mr. Chair. I hope you'll have time as well tomorrow. Just watch the draft. And I hope that even the BAUS one and the Speaker and the President, how much are they paying these white lawyers, will be exposed in due course. But as for tomorrow, let's watch this draft when they display it there. And let's take it from there. That indeed, self-hate in particular among black people, they went on to attack the legal, in particular Tarimpofu, because he's defending the Public Protector as an SC. He now has attracted so many enemies because he's black and he's fighting, like, as I said in one of your shows, George Bezos lost over 90% of his cases, but he was a human rights lawyer. He was standing for justice. If the courts decide not to implement justice, they are talking about the rule of law, which apartheid as well was legal. So whatever they do, don't be misled and thinking that when people say, no, legally, so you might be legally, but it might be wrong. So I'm saying, let's watch tomorrow and see chickens coming home to roost. And in fact, Advocate Bauer wanted to rectify because he was too excited. She could not wait to so-called thinking that is embarrassing. These SC black lawyers like Abus Kakane, Nabo Masugu, and others. Now, own pairs will be revealed tomorrow. Thank you.
Yeah, no, thanks, Des. I'm really looking forward to that. How's the PP? How's the PP doing, Des?
Doing very well, strong as usual.
No, I'm happy to hear. Des. Utlaloka. Anyone, if you want to take the mic, please grab the mic, bottom left. Come join us before we close the space. Deza, sorry, you wanted to say something? Kaji?
It's always so commendable whenever we get to have these updates as to what's really going on and not just what we hear in the media. David always speaks with such decorum and conviction, and he never ever seems faulted. Like, it's so unfathomable that this family is going through all of this and he remains sort of untainted. Don't quote me.
Yeah, it's gotta be tough. I mean, also we had that case. I don't know if you want to talk about it, of another Skosana there. Taking away there the politician. There's so much happening here. Kaji, scary stuff.
Mr. T, are you intent on closing, or are we going to hear from the masses?
No one is requesting, so maybe we'll shut it down. I don't know if Deza has anything else to say, and then we can close. Deza.
Yes, I can just say that to you. It will be fireworks, it will be sparks will fly. I can't wait for the public protector to take the stand, to take the stand, and speaking for herself, And as I said, a chicken will come to roost all these things, because it's been verified as this enemy of the state, enemy of the people, and they were able to have people in their office, But there are some. You'll see some witnesses as well coming up. As I said, though the days, I don't know why the chair doesn't want to give the public protector the space as well to bring all the witnesses as well, and only giving a few days, I mean, it took more than a month or two. I mean, in fact, almost two months to have these other witnesses from the evidence leaders. And I guess it would have afforded the public protector to have that as well. Others who will be speaking, as witnesses of the public protector. But unfortunately, as you have heard, the chair is adamant to say he's in charge, and things will go on his way. And as well, our ANC, which is led by the DA, that co-committee, they're talking about the majority because we are the majority party in parliament. But indeed, the motion was sponsored by the DA, by Mazzoni, and as well, the ANC, unfortunately, they are following the DA. They'll agree with them. So people, they are welcome. People are not stupid out there, Mr. Cheu. They are watching all these things. This arrogancy of my organization, our glorious movement, who some of them are being deployed in parliament today. They've sold out, as I always say that, to the DA. The DA, they want to preserve white supremacy, nothing else. But let's watch this movie as it will be unfolding. Unfortunately, after Van der Merwe, according to what I saw there in that screen today, is that they'll be coming back on the 28th. But from that, the 28th, my brother, you will watch a movie which you'll never forget about. Generations and generations, historians, I wish that they will have a glimpse of what's going to happen. And I think that all of us, our eyes will be open. Exactly what does it mean what does the state mean? And what is happening around us? And those who are blind, some of them will see exactly what was happening in the last few years. And I can tell you now, the public protector said it clearly, if she perish, so be it. And this will be the time. And I can tell you, some of them will regret why, in fact, they've called her into that co-committee. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Deza. Really looking forward to it. Hofolax.
Good evening, Mr. T. Good evening to the co-host, and good evening to the listeners and the speakers on the platform tonight. It's been a long time, Mr. T. You've taken a long break, and now you're back with a bang. So glad to have you back.
Please tell him that all of this celibacy from spacing is completely unacceptable.
Yeah, especially now at this juncture. I mean, we're going through a lot, and with the ANC conference coming up, I dread where we will be in January next year. I mean, are we heading for crossroads in our history? back to the 1994 moment, but the voting won't be as clear as what it was in 1994. Are we heading for destruction or construction of this country? One wonders. It's really very difficult um, to be a South African today, because we really have got no certainty about the future. But Mr. T, I was listening to the cross-examination of the witness today, and I'm left wondering, listening to her, I'm left wondering, where is the legal profession heading? Because the person who was cross-examined today has 2 law degrees, albeit that she never did articles and hasn't got any courtroom experience, but she is of the legal profession. I mean, this pattern of lying under oath, even if they are disgruntled employees, is really a cause for concern. I mean, things that she had said today was deliberately or obviously very misleading and false. I mean, it was really baseless. There was nothing to back it up. And then for the evidence leaders, I mean, where do you have evidence leaders in a commission that uh, prepares the affidavits for those that they are going to be leading evidence on? I mean, isn't that a conflict right there? I mean, surely if you are going to lead evidence, you're going to be objective. You're going to see that evidence as it is and not have any touch or haven't handled that evidence. I mean, so the evidence that you're leading is virtually the evidence that you wrote a whole novel on, and then you are going to present this novel with a whole lot of misleading facts, and then you present it to a committee. I mean, and that is why I'm left with this question, because these are people who are SCs, these are people who are lawyers, they are trained. I mean, our kids, I mean, one of the professions that they aspire to is to be a lawyer. But these people are really, I mean, especially with the Zondo Commission and especially with this S194 committee, this inquiry, these people are really bringing the profession into disrepute, and it is people like the public protector and the people's advocate that has to stand there all by themselves to protect what these people are doing to their profession. I mean, they've always been held in very high regard. I mean, people respected them when they walked into the door. They treat them with reverence. And yet to listen today, how these people blatantly lied, how these people blatantly falsified, how these people blatantly to put up all these things just so that they could have something against a woman. I mean, how low do you go? But we wait for tomorrow, Mr. T. I don't know, maybe I must go on depression tablets or something, because really, there's so little in our nation today that inspires you. Coming out of COVID-19, one would have expected there would be a lot of goodwill, but it's like the CR17 has really plunged us to the depths of hell. So yeah, we'll wait with bated breath what happens tomorrow. Good night to you, Mr. T, and co-host, and also to everybody on this platform. I hope you have a wonderful evening. Good night.
Thank you very much for participating. It's always a treat when we get to hear you speak. I don't know if anyone else is up. I think Hlati is waiting patiently. Guys, please feel free to grab the mic, even if it's not the inquiry that you'd like to discuss. Come and say hi. Let us know what's on your mind. Hlati, are you with us?
Good evening, Mr. T, and the rest of the panel. Thanks for giving me this opportunity. I won't be long. What I would like to just emphasize, this is revision 2 of the Zonal Commission. We just need to keep our eyes open as much. This is the same situation that happened. They bring in all these people to push the notion that the public protector is the baddest person in this country. That's what they did with the Zonal Commission, and then they missed crucial information. And she was not even given a chance to also present her side fully. They just want to push all these liars to come first so that the public can get the perception that the public protector is the bad person. But not all of us will fall for that. We've been keeping our ears open. We know what's going on. We'll keep supporting her. We just need to keep on having these spaces so that we can spread the information, because people are not informed of what is going on here. Even these guys are breaking laws just to ensure that they press the public protector. And she's so isolated. We just need to keep supporting her. This legal battle that she's going through, it needs to be clean as much as possible, because she's not the only one who's gonna go through this, because we are dealing with very, very powerful people. They've got all the resources. They can fund everything. So it's a very hard time for her. I feel sorry for her. She doesn't deserve to go through this, but she can hang there so that everything can be cleared for the next person, because what's going on is really bad. It's really bad, and we have so evil people in this country, and I don't know where our country is gonna go afterwards. It's so sad. It's so sad. Even the judicial system is just watching. But what I like is that the histories will remain here. All what they are doing will be referenced in future. We're gonna be here, and these issues will be raised. And they won't believe it, because this is the same situation the media did with the previous administration. They went all in. They were talking everything. They would even report whether the president went to the bathroom, the way they were reporting stuff. But they can't deliver now. We have serious issues that we need the media to expose, but they are sitting in the back seat. So we are on our own, but we just need to keep on pushing. We'll keep supporting her until she finishes these hurdles she's going through. Thanks, guys. I don't want to be long. Thanks for the opportunities.
Not so fast, Klati. Before I pose my question to you, I just want to say good evening to our beloved public protector. Thank you for stopping by. Klati, whilst we are all appalled and perhaps somewhat traumatized by the current legal process that the public protector is going through, are we surprised? Is it something that we didn't expect? Surely we knew that she was going to be put through the ringer.
Yeah, I would say the woke ones are not surprised. There are still people that are sleeping with these issues. I won't say, more especially the people that are here. They won't be surprised with that, because this is how these people are operating. It's only some people that are surprised with all of this. They just consume all this information they get from the media. They believe it's true. You would even, when you engaging people around, they would just say whatever the media is saying. When you're trying to get the depth of the understanding of the situation, they don't have information. So it's only the few people that can understand what really is going on. Some will only, because I would say most of the people, they only see stuff later, the reality, what's going on, when things already unfolded. So I would say, yeah, that's the current situation. I'm not surprised, because I've been following the patterns of how things are going on in this country. We are not equal. And even if you check with the previous PP, she's so quiet. There are things that are happening with the current PP that never happened with the previous public project. She was given all the platforms to do whatever investigation she was doing. But with the current one, she's blocked everywhere. The previous president was not allowed to be involved in situations that were involving him. And she didn't even bother, he didn't even bother to challenge that because he wanted a clean investigation. But with this situation, this one, whenever she touches something, they block her. So we can't get the chance to get all the facts from her side. Everything is one-sided. So yeah, that's the situation. But she needs to hang in there. We need her to go through this for the sake of the next public protectors. But she won't be the last one going through this. If we can't go enough and get and expose whatever is going on, because this standard won't be there in the next if we just let it go. We must keep the standard. Everything must happen within the laws so that we know exactly what is going on, so that we understand. So yeah, that's the current situation, but we will support him. We are here. We are not going anywhere. We see what is going on, and we'll remain there until this is all over. She mustn't give up. That's what I would say to her.
Thank you, Fletty. And lastly, before I let you go, you say that we need to ensure that we perpetuate the change. How do we do that? If the masses are already sort of snowballed by the false media that's being put out there, what power do we as the so-called minority have?
The only power is this one that we are currently having here, just to spread information. Because I also engage people just to challenge them to see how do they understand the situation. Those small talks can make a difference. We need to engage people around us so that we know we get whether they understand what is really going on. But I've noticed majority of them that I've engaged, they don't see what is actually going on. But eventually they will get what is going on, bit by bit. But people they are slow learners. Some can grab the information easily. So we just need to be patient and keep on doing what we are doing. The listeners that are here, they grab this information. They will go out there and share this knowledge we are sharing here. It doesn't end only here. Our role as people that are here in these spaces is to go out there in our spaces besides social media. Let's engage people so that people take part in and see what is going on. Eventually, we'll get there. It doesn't matter how long it will take, but the truth won't be changed. Lies can be paid for, but the truth will remain standing. That's what I can say.
Thank you so much for indulging me this evening, Fletty. I know I asked one question too many. Mr.
Yeah.
T, I'm not sure if we have any other speakers that are coming up. I don't see any on my end. I see Smoker Hunter is very quiet. I don't know if Tofalax is still with us. Tabang is here. Tabang, nice to see you again. Mr. T, do we have anyone else up?
No, I don't see anyone else up, and I see, Public Protector. Good to see you in the space with us this evening. If you want to come up and say hi, by all means. But I know it's been a long day. Tofalax, I had a question. I have a question for you. I mean, what does this public, humiliation of the Public Protector, say, to women, especially in South Africa, to the young, aspiring lawyer, for instance, female lawyer. I mean, what kind of message does this send?
Mr. T, it virtually tells us that it's a man's world. We've seen over the weekend what the ANC Women's League did. They didn't, one wonders what they were thinking. But clearly, the hatred and the intensity of what they are doing to the Public Protector I mean, who are we, as mere women who aspires to be, I mean, especially those at universities who are busy getting their degrees. I mean, who aspire to be like her, because she is, after all, a icon. She is something, or herself, that people can aspire to. I mean, we have got so many or so little people that our children can look up to. And if parliamentarians, women especially, I look at the parliamentarian of the ACDP, how vicious she is in her utterances, and how black women in particular sitting on that committee. But most of all, the ANC parliamentarians, people who who penned part of the constitution to uphold the Bill of Rights, to fight for women's emancipation. I mean, what about all the women leaders, Albertina Sisulu? I mean, what about all of them? What did they fight for? If today's parliamentarians are sitting there exacting such hatred onto a person who really did nothing. I mean, if you really look at it, my goodness gracious, if one is a professional at work, you deliver on your deliverables, your KPIs, your KPAs, all those things, you tick all those boxes with all the budget. I mean, with a budget that has been decreased, but you still produce. I mean, what does it say to the young people out there that despite doing your job so excellently, with so much competence, with so much heart, that men will turn around and still do this to you, noting that we're coming up with the 16 days of activism, and now they're going to even be sitting through that period. But for a chairperson who is a man in particular, who sits there in all his bravado and plays God, I mean, it really leaves a bad taste in one's mouth to think that your parents fought very hard. I mean, that the things that we had to go through as children for this to happen today, it's very painful to see. And that is why one feels so strongly about it, because you want to say and you want to shout out there, not in my name, it can't be done. But here the ANC parliamentarians and women in particular are doing it. It's very painful, Mr. T, to watch what is being done today.
Yeah, no, thanks, Tofolax. Yes, indeed. Yeah, and I mean, one would have expected better, post 94, but here we are, Kaji.
It's so difficult, especially sort of from a parenting side, because when Tofelax was referring to role models and sort of who our kids have the opportunity to see, as a mom of girl children who are so strong-willed, it's very, very hard for me to keep them away from the media. It's everywhere. It's in school. It's in what they read. It's what we drive past. And it's quite prominent that that's a recurring thing that we have. This, I don't know if it's a South African generational curse, but it's just something where this wheel just keeps turning in the wrong direction. I don't know if we'll ever get over it. I don't know if all of the sacrifices of the women and men before us will mean anything to the generations that come. Mr. T, I see that the public protector has taken the mic. I would love for you to introduce her. Pop Smoke, I did see that you had your hand up and you requested the mic, but as you know, ladies first. Mr. T?
Thanks, Kaji. Thank you so much. Very kind of you to let me introduce the PP. I'm so happy, man. Really soothes my heart to see the public protector in the space with us. Always checking on her, and of course, hearing from so many people all the time asking how is the PP doing, what's going on. So it's nice to see her. here with us. Like Deza said earlier, if they thought they were going to break the PP, I think they have struck at the rock here. It's not going to be like that. We are dealing with someone that's a fighter here. So it's so nice to see her join us. PP, thank you so much for being with us.
Hey, thank you, Mr. T. We've long spoken, but I know, yes, you always check on me, always. And thank you so much for opening the spaces. And, I requested just to speak. I mean, when Tofolax and Shlati were speaking, I didn't hear Deza or David speaking. But then I just wanted to just record my appreciation. One person said, the only thing you can do, even if you can't do any other thing, is just say thank you. So I'll just say thank you to everyone, and for the support. And I always say these spaces give people an opportunity to hear for themselves, and hence I shared even the link for people just to listen and not be swayed by the negative or the wrong narration from the media. And you'd know how they would report only something which is negative against me, but never find time to be just factual. Because I think some of the people, I don't know whether Mr. T, you were trained as a journalist, but I hear that in your training, you are all only told to report factually. Bring all the sides of the story. Well, legally, that's what we do. Hence, there's that issue of the Audi alteram partem rule, which I'm being accused of. Well, they are saying it's punitive. And a lot of those people who are given an OD is giving them an opportunity to explain themselves. A lot of them, actually, no one has been taken through disciplinary process because of failure to meet the time frame. The only people who were disciplined is Bonatsejo and Lisedi. It was because of the, concealing of the evidence which was submitted. And I was made to finalize and sign the Section 79 notice and the report. And when the matter was taken to court, and the advocate said to us, but I mean, there is this evidence which you are alleged to have hidden. And when the meetings or the investigation was ongoing, we discovered that no, the evidence was in one of the officials' offices. So that's the only time when a person was taken through a disciplinary process because of the core work. But now the evidence which is presented out there, people are just breaking the laws, the constitution, the very same constitution the parliamentarians are operating within. It's a inquisitive process, that one, but at the end of the day, it doesn't mean people must just violate the constitution specifically, subjecting me to this kind of treatment. And I mean, hence I said to the chairperson last week, that I feel like an abused woman who's being told that just stay in that relationship when she knows that when she goes home or she's being beaten in that particular house. But when she's telling people or whoever in authority, she's told just stay there. Because the main thing is that, as we've said several times, it's not about them that they are saying the process is fair. It's about the person who's subjected to that process. And I mean, hearing about Dr. Gondwe, Nabo of the DA, and the MP from ACDP, Sucre, saying no, their rights are also being violated. Unfortunately, The rights which are being violated are my rights, the one who's facing this particular process. But again, it's so unfortunate that people who are close to me, Mr. T and everyone, once Mkhwebane Dlamini once said, when I was at Lobart with personal costs that for the ABSA reserve, for the Reserve Bank matter, said, during the slavery times, they would then use one of the slaves to be exemplary, just to show everyone that if you don't listen or if you don't toe the line, this is how we will be treating you. So now, anyone who's associated with me, starting from my family, the way some of my family members have been treated, even where they work, and some of all these lawyers, the current Sianeho, he did his work. He's doing his work the best he knows how. Advocate Mpofu, all the black legal profession, bo advocates Kakane, Ngalwane, and everyone. I think Advocate Ngalwane has also penned down an article. Speaking about the very same thing, that Daily Maverick will come and just write very subjective and very nonsensical article about that it's people who are associated with me, and they are being appointed. If you can see how effective and efficient they are when they are defending any matter which they are doing, reading thousands and thousands. For this hearing now, it's around more than 10,000 to 13,000 records. And then you come back, you blame people as if they just get this payment without doing anything. It's so unfair. And unfortunately, again, it's black advocates. And it's one thing where I needed to make sure that we have this constitution as a living document, because we cannot speak about transformation, we cannot speak about empowerment, and I end up go against that. And I was deliberate in making sure that at least 90% of our work is done by black advocates, black attorneys, so that we can reach the status where we are equal, all of us. And we indeed, because the constitution is very clear that we need to undo the wrongs of the past. We need to make sure that we are equal before the law. Now coming back, accusing Mkhwebane as if being called fugitive of the law. I hope he'll be taking or suing those journalists once and for all to deal with that, because once they repeat, they manufacture consent. They just repeat the same thing. And worse, you find Bokim, they are specialists in their field. They did the best they know how. And now they are being labeled as if they have stolen money. And unfortunately, or fortunately for a number of advocates, they'll tell you when they would need researchers in their team, they would need a specialist, a communication specialist. If it's about a medical issue, they would go to a specialist or a doctor to get information. So now they are being portrayed as if they've been looting money. And these people, they've done the work. And even if they didn't do the work directly for us, but then if they were subcontracted by people who are appointed by the Public Protector's Office, and even worse, Mr. T, is that I'm being portrayed as if I'm this accounting officer who's appointing and approving payments. And that is not the case, because you do have an accounting officer who's the CEO who does all that, and we've been audited. And now they are saying they're going to be studying afresh to audit everything. The Auditor General has audited. As well, their credibility is at stake here, where they would then come up with something where, and when they audit, they do not a complete audit, but they do a spot check or then a certain area which they focus on. But it's fine if they would audit everything. It will be very clear whatever has been done, it was within the law. And unfortunately for the office is prepared, because the auditing by the Auditor General is not free. I mean, it means they will have to pay more money to do that. And so I think I just wanted to say thank you to all those who are supporting me, who are always on spaces, on Twitter, on social media, speaking about this. But then at the end of the day, it's we are fighting the system. We are not well, normally I also console myself that it's not about me per se, but the problem is any black person who tries or who's excelling in whatever they do, and to liberate those who are marginalized, who are oppressed. They are treated like this. I mean, once you are a black person, you excel in. So it means, as a country, we wouldn't want to have that. And I mean, the questions being asked by members of parliament, the legislations they've passed themselves, and you try to implement them, you would want to assist them with service delivery, issues of good governance. No, you shouldn't be doing that. And I mean, this is what is also happening to Professor Pakeng in UCT, but not only her, a number of blacks who are working in SOE state institutions. If you are then a person who's excelling, I don't know, that's the challenge. And unfortunately, they would then send the very same, your own, to attack you and proceed. But thank you so much, Mr. T. And I just wanted to say thank you. Ngiyathokoza khulu kwamambala.
Thanks, PP, man. Thank you so much for coming through and once again, blessing us with some wisdom. I really appreciate that. And yeah, I don't know what it is with, whenever and wherever there's black excellence, there seems to be this pushback as if, we're supposed to excel at doing things bad, and really not succeeding in life. It's a huge problem, and yeah, the attacks on people working, for the office and all that. Some were even dragging me. Hey, how much did you get paid for running spaces? Hey, Kaji, they say we're getting paid. I mean, it's getting ridiculous. When black folk stoops that low, you know that we have a problem before us, and it's just sad. It's heartbreaking. Kaji?
I think that we need to be cognizant of what's happening around us, and we need to be cognizant of what we're being fed. If we go back to what Klati was saying, what he referenced is we need to be woke, and I think that a woke bunch of us are in this space. Thank you to Madam PP for coming through as always, as usual. And I have to give Pop Smoke a chance. I almost forgot about him there, but then I got distracted because I saw Miss Kim Heller in the space, the lady who knows how to put more than just a sentence together. One of my favorite authors. Thank you for joining us. Pop Smoke, are you still with us? I'm sorry. Thank you for being so patient.
No, thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, Ms. Kajal, and and good evening to everybody, Mr. T, and the PP as well. Thank you guys very much for allowing me to come and speak. Ma'am, I just have few words, simply just to say something here, because whenever black people stand up, like they are told to keep quiet. If not, they suffer the consequences. Look at what they did to Stephen Biko. Like Steve Biko refused to actually comply with whatever he was being told to. And we all know what happened to him. Chris Hani stood for his guns, He stood for his words, never sold out. He was taken out, So look at what's happening around the world. Like even Dr. Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, whenever a black person stands up for what they truly believe in, they are taken out. Even the public protector, it is no different to see what's happening to her.
You know, we thought that like black people had voices, like we had Abu Kosatu, we had all these trade unions which had loud mouths during the time of Zuma. You know, we saw a lot of black people speaking out and many organizations speaking out. But when a black lady is being vilified and demonized and attacked relentlessly without a second thought, you know, nobody's coming out to say anything. Only the EFF, although I don't like the EFF that much, but only them, they actually like stand out and actually defend the public protector, you know. And the ANC Women's League, they have actually distanced themselves from the public protector. The Women's League has this distanced itself. It's like they're not saying anything about what's happening. It's like we can see the hypocrisy, Mr. Chu. You know, the famous tea break, like hey, asiyahlolelwa eMzansi bakithi. Siyahlolelwa, Mr. T on TV. That tea break, what was that about? You know, is it really necessary to actually, was it really necessary? Let the proceedings proceed, you know. They should have time, like in court, they will have a specific time for tea and for lunch and everything like that. So they must stick to the time and let proceedings go. They must not come with tactics to actually waste time, you know. So, Mr. T, you know very well, my good sage, I'm not a man of few words, but this evening, let me just have few words. I just want to say that, and I just want to say hello to Miss Kim Heller there, you know. Miss Kim, I've sent you the message. I've sent you a message in your DM. Can you please respond the soonest that you have, that you may have time? And thank you to the PP, ma'am. Please keep doing the good work, keep fighting, you know. Although we are being silenced and filtered on the social media platforms, and it's like we, the general public, cannot organize ourselves and actually do something to actually voice our concerns and dissatisfactions about what's happening to you, you know. Like these organizations, these NGOs that we trusted, none of them they are saying anything, none of them they are doing anything. So, but we'll keep on voicing our concerns on Mr. Chu spaces and other spaces, and we'll keep on tweeting about it. I hope something does happen, but just know, ma'am, we are with you. You know, we support you, and we see what's happening. You know, just look at what's happening in the US as well with Kanye West and this other guy called Kyrie. He's a basketballer. They just spoke the truth the way it is, and they are being attacked by black people. You know, like if ever white people were the ones coming out attacking them, it was gonna make sense. Then you can know that okay, they are trying to protect something that like is of value to them. But you find that the public protector is being attacked by black people, like the president, for example. Then you ask yourself, what does the president have to gain? Because the public protector's report about ABSA and the Reserve Bank, that is something that every South African, black or white, should be concerned about. What actually happened right there? Where did ABSA get the money to establish itself? If the money came from the Reserve Bank, then how come today ABSA has shareholders? What share did they bring to actually establish ABSA? Those current shareholders. The money came from the Reserve Bank. The government should be the major shareholder then in ABSA. And also, let me just say one last point. Also, this Frede Dairy farm that they are very much against. Mr. Chu, that project was started by the government, you know. So basically, like that meant that the government was uplifting communities to establish their own factories, you know, to produce food. So basically, that meant that companies like Clover, Parmalat, all these dairy product producers who produces cheese, all these dairy products, milk, yogurt, and other stuff, they were going to have competition. Now, when you put the microscope to it, who owns Parmalat, who owns Clover, all these other companies which produce dairy products? So, like that was not going to be the end of it. Like other similar to the Frida Dairy Farm, they were going to be established around the Northern Cape, Limpopo, KZN, meaning that within less than 10 years, we were going to forget about Clover. We were going to forget about Parmalat, Landswood cheese, all these others. We were going to forget about those. We were going to have community-centered projects which actually produce food, good quality food for our people at a cheaper price. Then they come and lie about certain reports that doesn't even make sense. I am not a lawyer, but those things that they are saying about the free dairy thing, they don't make sense to me at all. It's like you can see that this thing is being whitewashed, you know. But anyway, thank you for the wonderful work, PP, and thank you everybody in the space. Ms. Kajal, Mr. Chu, thank you very much and have a lovely evening.
Thanks so much, Pop Smoke. It's nice to hear your voice, man. It's been a while. I really appreciate you, the support, and all the kind words you've had to say. I see Kim is in here. Mkhwebane. It's good to see all these wonderful people that I have not seen in a while. Rapids, my goodness. Yeah, I'm so happy. Black Axe, good to see you all. Yeah, I think we're gonna shut it down now. It's been a great chat. But before we do that, though, Black Smoke mentioned the EFF. I'll just play, a couple of clips of Malema, so you can hear that, and then we'll head out. So yeah, have a listen, and think about it.
Is this thing of every time she asks for some time so that she can consult properly and do her work. Chairperson makes unreasonable rulings of one day, one night, and things that are impractical because you've got predetermined outcome of this process. But if we're genuine and have got no agenda and predetermined outcomes, you will not even have any difficulty affording her an opportunity to do a thorough consultation. Those who are the beneficiaries of apartheid, children of colonizers and apartheid dictators, they are the ones who will suggest, let's proceed with this and violate their rights, because that's how they survived all their life. Violating rights of people. That's why they say it with ease, beneficiaries of apartheid, that let's proceed. We don't care. See, we know you don't care. You have never cared about rights of our people and rights of Black African women in particular. So we see that in action today, where a right of an African woman is being violated. And at the forefront of that is the beneficiaries of apartheid, who are missing those days of violating the rights of our people. You do that now with a public protector. Please, Chair, as a revolutionary end, a person who fought for this constitution and the rights of our people, let it reign in your conscience that you cannot violate the rights that we fought so much for the public protector, for me and you to be legally represented. Our people were hanged, our people were killed by parents of some of these people who are speaking here, without being properly represented, without being properly listened to. Today you join forces with apartheid.
Okay, yeah, that was Mr. Malema. Let's see. I think he continues here.
That we fought so much for the public protector, for me and you to be legally represented. Our people were hanged, our people were killed by parents of some of these people who are speaking here, without being properly represented, without being properly listened to. Today you join forces with apartheid murderers to destroy an African woman and put no value into her rights. It is unacceptable, Chair. So I think let's give public protector what she has asked for, and we will proceed.
There you have it. CIC of the EFF, they're raising an issue, a big concern that has been raised by many of, public protector being there without legal representation. And of course, Julius Malema giving us some historical background there as well. Thank you so much, everyone. It has been amazing. Sharing the space with you. Please, I think we'll try and reconvene tomorrow, which should be a very interesting, inquiry procedure. So I'll do my best to bring you that, if at all possible. And if I'm absent, please get on YouTube and watch it. Tomorrow should be a very interesting one. With me here, of course, my very sick, Kaji here. She has been sick, and I want her to go rest now. And Kaji, thank you so much for joining us, even when you're sick, man. Go take good care of yourself. I'm going to send you medicine. Don't worry.
Thank you for having me, Mr. T. And stop being so stingy with the spaces.
Okay. I receive that message, Kaji. I'll get on it. Hey, thank you so much, Kaji. Love you lots, and we'll talk soon. Everyone in the space, thank you. I see you all. Kwaisan Tepo. Porsche, I see you. Social scientist, I see you. My goodness, so many people. I wish I could say all these lovely names I see in the space, but it's very nice to see you all come back and join us. Yeah, have a good evening. Let's continue to watch section 194 Enquiry tomorrow. Have a good one.